so hard. Now everything is easy 'cause of you. And now...
Hello and good morning. It's time once again for the House Whisperer Show on WWDB Talk 860. Stay tuned for expert advice about maintaining your house from the roof to the basement and everything in between. Featuring professional home inspector Jack Milne, who tells us that every house has a story. And he's got another great topic today. Jack, how you doing today?
Excellent, Barry. And to all you dads and almost dads and granddads, happy Father's Day.
Absolutely.
Isn't it cool? We get, I'm not sexist by any stretch, Barry, but men get one day. Women get all the rest.
That's right. That's it. Well, this is our day. We should be sitting back, putting our feet up, and relaxing.
Well, that's okay. I'm talking to my millions of listeners today.
That's right.
So no other place I'd rather be either.
I agree.
When even before I was a dad, and it's a great honor to be one. One of the things I always took advantage of were the Father's Day sales. And, if you have an opportunity, gentlemen, go out and go shop. And I know it's generally not in our blood to want to do that. But, I think one of the best places to visit on Father's Day is your local box hardware store. And if it's the Lowe's or the Depots or the Sears, jump in your car and go shopping, because I think it's one of the best times of the year, even better than Christmas, when you can pick up, hardware at a good price, your saws, garage door openers. And I bought my garage door openers, I bought my table saws, I bought my chop saws, all on Father's Day. So, I always get the question from my bride, what do you want for Father's Day? And I can always promise her, it's not underwear or socks. So guys, find the things that you can use through the years. And like I was saying, drills, saws, ratchets, sockets, oil filter wrenches. Take me shopping, and I'll help you with owning and renting, when you're owning and renting homes. I mean, honestly, the power tool is king. So my suggestion is buy corded tools. And I know that the rage is batteries, but I always find that batteries are for the pros who use the tools every day and charge them every night. The saw, the drill, the planer, plug them in and make them work. So before Father's Day, or during today, if you get that shot, guys, go shopping. And one final clue, and I get this a lot with my work. I use a ladder called the Extend and Climb. They run about $275. They extend almost 16 feet. They weigh about 40 pounds, but they depress down to 30 inches. So I use one every day for work, and I'm always asked, where did you get that? And from what I've been seeing, I bought mine at Sherwin-Williams. I'm not promoting anybody out there, but I understand that I believe Home Depot is starting to sell them too. It's a great stick in the corner type of ladder. It doesn't take up any room. You can put it in the back of your car, in the trunk. You can put it in the back of your pickup. How I use mine is if I'm on a two-story colonial, I'll get on the lower roof line, and then I ratchet it up. And then as I clamber up to the next ridge, I then shorten it down to get on the roof above. So it's extremely handy. And again, I think it's worth every cent. So they run about $275. They can go up to about 11.6. Mine goes 15.6, and I think they make one that goes a little bit taller. If you weigh more than 225 pounds, make sure that you talk to the salesman and get the appropriate load rating. So today, I wanted to dedicate the show to the guys. And it's about, building a garage. It's Father's Day, and ladies, I'm sorry, but again, I'm dedicating the show. But because I have so much information to share, I'm actually going to do it in two segments. So this one is going to be about planning, and then the next week is going to be constructing the ultimate guy's toy box. As I like to say, my wife may run the house, but I run the garage.
There you go.
Yeah. So before we start, though, I do want to thank my sponsors because without them, I wouldn't be on the air today. So Bucksmont Inspections with Rob Bowie. I am catching up with Rob and Don a lot these days, evaluating on-site sewage systems. So if you want the best, give them a call, 215-669-4213, and their website is bucksmontinspections.com. Borough Exterminating. Again, I see Rob and Brian a ton these days. We've been very busy. So they're out of Glen Olden, Pennsylvania. Their phone number is 610-586-5640. Their website is boroughexterminating.com. Pest Blaster. I'm getting my building sprayed this week for those little concrete ants. We've had a lot of rain. They're making their way in, so I'm using Pest Blaster at my building. They're at 215-295-5555, and their website is pestblaster.com. Brainfleshgear.com. Over the past few weeks, I've been talking about the eclectic wear that we had that we had made up for our trip to Eustis, Maine, coming up in July. So I love the artwork. The guys love the shirts, and they can make anything for you. So again, simple as brainfleshgear.com, or email them at contact@brainfleshgear.com. Finally, Tri-County Inspection Company, folks, July 12th is our anniversary day for our 30th year in business. It's around the corner. So check us out on the web, which is tcinspect.com. Check out our inspectors. I'm not boasting, but I do think we have the best home inspectors in the 15-county area that we serve. And we are at 215-295-2030 in the Bucks and Montgomery County areas. Lehigh Valley, 610-346-7880. In Delaware County, 610-296-2004. And South Jersey, 856-853-4224. So as I always like to say, please let them know that you heard, they're out on the House Whisperer show. I'm not going to get to the email box today just because I've got a lot to cover, but believe me, every email that is sent to me is always open and read, and so please send them to me at thehousewhisperershow@gmail.com. We're up to all the shows currently up to May 31st on thehousewhisperershow.com, so visit the archives. Anything you need to know you can find there, and podcast 24/7, of course, at www.dbam.com. So always listen in if you missed today's segment. So let's get going here. Today, I feel like Tim, the two-man Taylor, talking guy stuff. But a garage is a place not only for vehicles, but becomes an accumulation of kids' stuff, wife stuff, and other things your home may not support. So I'm going to help you from the beginning until you can actually pull your car in and celebrate. So really, what's first? Well, you've got this idea in your brain that you want to build a garage, but you don't know the size. Most people, if they can, prefer a two-car garage because of the flexibility, but your lot may only support a one-car garage. So what you need to do is check what we call the impervious surface ratio. And what is that? Well, your property has so many square feet to absorb water versus so many square feet that cannot absorb water. So in my area, the impervious surface ratio is 18%. So that 18% has to be the square footage of your home, your driveway, your walkways, your hardscape, that you made just to put that patio on the back of the house. But the remaining 82% must absorb water, so the water can be absorbed and reused later. Now, if you have a deck in a way is different because 1/3 of the water will pass through a deck and 2/3 of the water will be absorbed by the wood. New question becomes, but Jack, what if I have composite decking that doesn't absorb anything? So that would be a good question that you want to ask your local code authority. So, the water that gets off your property has to go to the storm drains, has to go to retention basins, eventually ends up in creeks and rivers, the ocean, etc. So even though 18% is the ratio in my area, it is the cap. 17.9% passes, 18% does not. Now, I also live on a corner. So when I was figuring out where I wanted to put my garage, I wanted to put it next to the house. But my local code says, no, you have to be opposite both streets. So as you look at the front of my home, I didn't really want to put it in the back right corner. So I had to go for a variance. So I had to post signs on my property. I had to put a notice in the newspaper. I talked to my neighbors. I had to go before the local board at my local municipality. And folks, half my neighborhood showed up. And I was pretty frustrated with that because, here I think I'm a pretty good neighbor, but everyone was concerned about the height of the garage, what was going to be used for. I don't want to see it from my home. They had all these excuses. So I basically went to my attorney and said, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put it where I'd like to put it. So I put it where I had to put it. So if you live in the middle of the block, let's say that, it's easier for you to put it next to your home than it may be, again, for me, because, again, it had to be opposite both roads. So that takes a lot of thought because now all of a sudden I have to think of my driveway. So when I went ahead and I put the permit in, and I sat down with a code official, he goes, well, why aren't you paving the driveway? I said, well, if I paved the driveway, then I wouldn't be able to build the garage because I'd be over my impervious surface ratio. So, folks, that's where you have to start. So
I'll tell you what. How about if we take a little break now, Jack? It sounds like a good time.
Quick, okay.
Yep, time flies when you're building a garage.
Yeah, I got a lot to talk about, Barry. So
okay.
Let's take a quick break, and you'll be right back with the House Whisperer.
We'll make it real quick, and we'll be right back.
Boro Exterminating has been specializing in wood-destroying insect inspection and control for over 40 years, serving Philadelphia and the surrounding counties. All inspectors are state certified and ensure providing their clients with professional inspections and treatments. Boro not only performs conventional termite treatments, but also handles special services like historic buildings and homes with wells, creeks, or ponds. The client is assured that all treatments will be performed safely when you hire Boro to do the work. They also provide radon testing in their service area. Boro's full-time office staff is available to help you schedule an appointment. Just call 610-586-5640 or send an email request to boroinspects@verizon.net. That's 610-586-5640 or email at boroinspects@verizon.net.
Specially created t-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today, and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com.
For your septic inspection and testing needs, please consider Bucksmont Inspections. They've been serving the Bucks and Montgomery County areas for over 15 years. As members of the Pennsylvania Septic Management Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Sewage Enforcement Officers, and the Pennsylvania Association for Professional Soil Scientists, Bucksmont Inspections can inspect your existing septic system or test for your new septic system placement. Please call Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213 and say you heard their ad on the House Whisperer Show.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 30 years. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They have performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They are licensed in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. Call 215-295-2030 or 856-853-4224.
As the temperatures gradually rise, so do the odds of all those filthy and unwanted critters invading your home, like rodents, roaches, termites, and flies. Oh my! This summer, if you want to feel safe and secure from a possible creeping, crawling disaster, do yourself a favor and call the exterminating experts at Pest Blaster for all your pest control needs, including tests for radon and mold. Please visit pestblaster.com and you'll be sold. 215-295-5555.
Our house is a very, very, very fine house.
Okay, we are back with Jack Milne here on the House Whisperer Show, and we're in the process of building a garage. And Jack, continue with the instructions.
Okay, well, now we're up to phase 2, because now you know how big you can make your garage. So what I ask you to do is get a copy of your plot plan from the township, and you want to give it to your architect. The future building has to have a placement that has to be approved by the local municipality. In some areas, it's 10 feet from each property line. You may have certain height factors. You may not be able to use it as an office or an apartment, and those items were brought up to me. In fact, I had to put it on my title, my property title and deed, that can only be used for car and personal storage. So the use of water for sinks or hose bibs may also be questioned. I mean, what do you need to use water for? And how much power are you going to bring to this building and for what? So, keep your cool. Fill out the permit application, because you're going to need one, because you're going to have to include all your plans, and you have to put down your costs as to what's involved. And then, you should also discuss what you're doing with your neighbors, because you want to explain that the garage is not going to be used for your kid's rock band or for making money on the off hours, to help pay all the fees. So hold your breath, and at the final point, how are you going to get to this, to this point? Are you going to are you going to use it sooner, and how does it affect your impervious surface ratios, and are you going to pave the driveway? So a lot of questions come into mind, and that's, to me, can also be the monkey wrench, and that's the one that can get thrown into the stew, because, again, it happened to me. So you have to plan accordingly. This is why it's imperative that you work with an architect, so that when you sit down with your permit, you have all your answers. Now, by the way, when finally it came down to the nooks and crannies, I had to remove 25 feet of my existing asphalt driveway to fit under my impervious surface ratio. Folks, that came down to about a 5x5 area. So it wasn't much, and so I shaved it, I planted a little bit of grass, and I was done. So as you sit in front of the fellow who gives you the permission, to build this structure, you kind of, again, have to sit there with bated breath. So finally the gods have spoken, the clouds go away, the sun is shining, and now it's time to get the job started. You may have to hire a general contractor to take you through all the necessary steps, or you may choose to take this project on your own. Now, a general contractor can charge maybe up to 30% over the cost of the materials and labor to put the project together from start to finish. But at the same time, if you do not understand construction techniques, the permit process, from footing inspections, framing inspections, plumbing and electrical inspections, if you need them, honestly, hire the contractor. As the homeowner, you'll have to pay for all the permits, and you're going to have all the paperwork, reviewed by the contractor, so that you're both on the same page. Contracts must be drawn up between you and the contractor as to what I call the rules of engagement. The concrete work, the size of the wall framing, the joists, the rafters, the beam, if you need one, the roofing material, the siding of choice, the garage door, the electrical layout, pull down stairs. Folks, I can go on and on and on, but, bottom line, the contractor will eventually work off the plans that were put together by the architect. Now, when it comes time to dish out the funds, I always advise that you give the contractor 20% down because they're going to have to order the material, and there's going to have to be specific times that additional funds will have to be paid. But my suggestion is plan it this way. One of the largest costs that are involved in a detached garage is the concrete. So you're going to have to give them more money at the completion of the concrete, which can be up to almost 40% of the entire construction payment. So you're going to have to give them some work after that, because again, that's going to involve not only the excavation but the footings, the block work. The next time I would give them a check would be at the completion of the framing, and that should include your studs, your cross members, the rafters, and the sheathing. And the next check I would probably give it the exterior claddings, which would be your roofing and siding. And then the final payment should be at the finish. But, I'm getting way ahead of myself. So what keeps construction so interesting is really, and it's so true, it's one miracle at a time. And it's exciting when it starts, and it's better when it ends. But at this point, guys, it hasn't even started. So what's first? Again, the layout. Now that the part of your property is now dedicated to your new garage, the surveyor will have to come out and lay the corners and elevations of the new building. Any trees, shrubs, or any other what I call oddities will need to be removed before these folks show up with the surveying equipment. They also will have to check for any type of water runoff, which will happen when it rains because, when this building comes out of the earth, you might have to generate some swales to help divert water not only away from your home but away from this building as well. And you have to make sure that it goes to the lowest part of your property. And, of course, this is to be expected. Sometimes the block work will raise out of the earth by as much as 8 to 10 inches. So because we have to allow for the slab and, of course, the garage doors, any entry doors or any other entry point that will be required so that it does not allow water infiltration even during the heaviest storms. And, folks, I always advise that even though you're building a garage, please have a side entry door besides the overhead door. I've done too many inspections where because of power loss or because of damage to the garage door opener, you have no way in. And if you don't have a way in, that breaks things down to a sawzall or breaking a window or breaking a door. So when you're doing your planning, please always include a side entry door. Now, the big day finally comes. The backhoe comes with a dump truck. The dumpster arrives. The permit approval is on your house window within view of all to see. The anticipation is in the air. The butterflies are in your stomach. And you get to the question, should I take off from work to watch, or should I put my faith in the general contractor? And, folks, I think that's truly a business decision. I think if you can work it out where the first day you do have that opportunity to sit down with the excavator, tell them what your plans are, tell them where you want to enter the garage. They're going to have your corner post established. You're going to have your lines drawn. I would feel a lot better going to work the next day. I would also see if you can encourage your framers to start on a Saturday. They don't mind doing that, again, because you can be home. There's always this debate because you want to be there. It's money's being spent. It's a structure that's being built. So if you can get home from work in the earlier part of the day, that you can see the results at the end of the day, that's going to help the contractors for the next morning. if you have that flexibility and you can go in an hour later in the morning, just tell your boss or the superiors that you only need a little bit of time off for about the next 2 weeks. I think if your boss was going through the same scenario, that they would understand. So believe me, guys, this is permanent. This is not something that you're going to call the local shed company and drop off and stick it on blocks. So anything that you can advise on, be there. Make sure that you give your contractor your contact information. Please don't text. Actually have a communication because it takes less time for both of you, honestly, to get the points across and to share information. So next week, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about taking this building out of the earth until the time that we put the ridge vent on the top of the roof. So, Barry, do you have any points at this time?
I have somebody I know talking about garages. He's not allowed to smoke. He loves smoking cigars. And his lovely wife will not allow him to smoke any cigars in the house. So every night, he goes out into the garage and gets his lawn chair, puts it in the garage, gets the paper or whatever, and that's where he happily smokes his cigar.
Well, Barry, that's the whole point of this show. Again, the women tend to run the house, the guys get to run the garage.
There you go. All right, well, on that happy note, we're just about out of time. Time for you to say Happy Father's Day and say goodbye for today.
Well, thank you once again, Barry. And guys, sit back, relax, you enjoy your day off. Try to put some of those chores on hold. Do take the wife out or the significant other for dinner. Please enjoy your time off. And as it is Sunday, please spend time with your friends and family. And I'll talk to you next week on The House Whisperer.
All right, you might find me in the garage next week. I don't know. It's better than being in the doghouse, though, right?
Far better.
Tune in again next week for another edition of the House Whisperer Show with professional home inspector Jack Milne. And to listen to previous programs, or if you have any questions, that's easy. Just visit thehousewhisperershow.com. I'm Barry Reisman, and thank you for listening to the House Whisperer Show on WWDB Talk 860 and WWDBAM.com.
Is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so